What's up, my people?
What's up with it?
Welcome back. We back another week, Fiyah Session Podcast. We got a very special guest with us today.
What's
Tell
happening?
you all about him. You know what I'm saying? For the past week, and Benji was gracious enough to hit him up and see if we could get him, and we got him here, y'all. Mr. Pervis Taylor III. Gotta make sure the 3 on that thing.
You got to add the 3rd on there because my daddy was crazy and my granddaddy was crazy. So the 3rd.
Hey, I feel you because I'm a junior and my dad makes sure you put junior on everything. My son is a 3rd, so I make sure he puts 3rd on everything.
Does he have a
We all got crazy kinfolk, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, because my dad is definitely crazy. Shout out to my pops. I know he ain't watching, but he's definitely crazy. Yeah, but we call my son Kenny, you know what I'm saying? Because, people was like, when he was little, they was like, yeah, call him Trey. I'm like, that's my wife's ex-boyfriend's name. That ain't gonna work.
Right.
So, yeah, we just gonna
Bye.
Yeah. So, man, we appreciate Pervis coming on today. We're gonna call him Pervis, and I'm gonna call him Pervis, y'all, because we were talking before the show. Pervis didn't even realize because I was a background character in school like that. I went to the same school that he did at one point, but then I was a little fella. I wasn't 6'5", I was like 5'2", and I was just blending in with the crowd, and he didn't know who I was. But it's always good to have fellow Lancaster people. Lancaster, not Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Yeah.
See, in Cali, we have Lancaster.
No, we in Texas though, so we gotta say it correctly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, as people say from here, L Town. You know what I'm saying? So y'all already know what it is. We got 3 people from L Town on the show today. So welcome, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you both.
No doubt, man. Hey, man, let me tell y'all something. He's an award-winning celebrity life coach, inspirational speaker, and a best-selling author. So we got somebody on the show today. You know what I'm saying? We have great people on the show, but this is the first time that we've had an author on the show. So we get a chance to kind of dig and get a different perspective of things from a writing, because I read a lot of books, but when you talk to an author to get their standpoint and their thought process for, how they write and stuff, it gives you a whole nother viewpoint and vantage of, the world and how they see it. So you can understand how when they write these books, this is the thought process they're having.
Right.
So before we get going though, we want to get to know Mr. Taylor. So, what I'm saying, kind of tell us about your background, where you're from, how you grew up.
Oh gosh. So I'm from the wonderful city of Lancaster, Texas. I'm the oldest of 3 children.
Getting old.
Lancaster was definitely an interesting experience for me. It's definitely like something I look at with sadness, and also I look at it with happiness, if that makes sense. I think it's a both and for me.
Right.
Like, I don't know, Lancaster, my upbringing was what it was. It was great on one hand, and then it was also, again, it was like interesting, to say the least. But I met some wonderful people. I wouldn't, if I could do it again, I would still choose the life that I had, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And would still choose to be from Lancaster, because I think there was something rich in growing up in Lancaster that most people don't recognize. Just the community, just the chance to dream. I don't think I would have dreamed as big as I dreamed if I lived anywhere else. So like, Lancaster was definitely the impetus to the person that you see today. But a little bit more about me. I'm a cool dude. I'm not as serious as people think I am. I like to make jokes, and I can be very, very silly. And I love what I do for a living.
That's
and before we get to that, what you do for a living, tell us about like your college experience. What college? We know you came from Lancaster High School, Lancaster High School, graduate class of '98. So anybody out there that graduated in the year of 1998, you great people.
Yes, I agree. Like that, like across the board.
That's a great year. But tell us about what college you went to and what your major was.
So I went to University of Miami, the U, undergrad. Got my degree in marketing. And it's crazy. When I was going to University of Miami, I really didn't even want to go to college. I wanted to like move to New York, which I eventually did, and work at a record label. I wanted to be Puff. So seriously, like I really wanted to be Puff and like just follow his trajectory. Like he was in school and he was at Howard, then he dropped out, and I wanted to have the same narrative. But it didn't happen that way. But I went to University of Miami, which was beautiful, man. Like, I really felt like that opened me up as well. I feel like everything was like kind of strategic, starting with Lancaster, being born and raised in Lancaster, and then going to, University of Miami. It opened me up to like so many different cultures. And I feel like it prepared me to live in New York because, New York is a huge melting pot. Right. So it's like, Miami, Black people speak Spanish. You know what I mean? Like like Chinese people speak patois, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's so vastly different from what we were raised with in Lancaster, which was like, Black, white, Mexican for the most part. Right. So like, it just, Miami was a beautiful, beautiful experience for me.
Now, see, you went to the U in '98 when the Hurricanes were like popping.
Yeah.
In college football.
We won. So the year I graduated early 2001. That's the last time we won a championship.
Right. Now, see that them was some dope years, man. Like Uncle Luke down that way, Nevin Zero. Like, good luck.
And if you remember, Will Smith had a song called Miami.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And that was the deciding factor for me going to University of Miami, because I was gonna go to Syracuse. And that song, that video came out, I was like, nah, I'm going
there. Boy, great decision. Great decision.
But it seems as if New York was calling you in some form or shape, because you mentioned it earlier. You were going to go to Syracuse, which is in New York, but you still made it there. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like it was calling your name regardless. So you were going to end up there regardless of what happened.
Right.
Yeah. No, like when I first came to New York, it was in between, I think, my freshman and sophomore year. A friend of mine lived here, and I was just like, yo, I gotta stay here. I was like, yo, I have to come back. Like, I stayed one summer in Brooklyn, and it was a wrap. And I was like, nah. It was just something about it. Like, I felt like, it's crazy. Even though I'm such a Texas boy, a country boy, I'm also a city boy. And it was that city aspect of me was just, it's just met here. I just feel at home here.
Okay. I mean, I can imagine that too. Brooklyn. Give us your favorite hip hop moment in Brooklyn.
Listen, let me tell you something. So I saw Biggie's One More Chance video, and I said, I'm moving to Brooklyn. That was really the beginning. That was before, my obsession with Puff at the time. Like, I can say it now, I was obsessed with Puff, but that was the beginning of it. When I saw that One More Chance video, I was like, yo, they got Queen, like, they have parties, and Queen Latifah, Aaliyah's there, Mary J. Blige, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, I'm moving to Brooklyn. That's what it was. That was the moment that changed my life.
That's awesome, man.
So what kind of things do you do in your downtime? Because you say you're located in New York right now. So what kind of stuff do you do when you're not writing, when you're not, doing your daily, job?
Yeah.
Like what kind of stuff you do?
Oh man, I Tootsie Roll, bro. I be in the streets. I love the brunch. I like, it's funny. I look at Benji's Facebook, and I'm like, yo, I love to eat. Like, I look at that, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna try a restaurant that has something like that. Like, I love to eat at restaurants. That's like literally my favorite pastime. Right. And like, going to the parties. We have block parties up here. Like, we don't necessarily have clubs anymore. Like, we have rooftops and things like that.
Right.
But, shake a tail feather.
Yeah,
you know what? I was just about to ask that, because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? You up in Brooklyn now with the accent, with the honeys, and I'm sure. Yes, Lord. Let me stop.
Yeah, don't get him started. Yeah,
because I know it's fun out there. Like, I've never been,
especially with Latin women.
So you know what's crazy? So believe it or not, most people think that I'm Hispanic. They don't think that I'm Black.
Oh.
They think that I'm Dominican or Brazilian things, because I went to DR and they did look like, I was like, I need to call my mother. Like, I was like, there's a conversation needs to be had. But it's funny that you said that, because Latin X women are very attracted to me. And I think because they think I'm Hispanic.
Benji say, hit him up, because he
I'm trying to go solo, man.
Listen.
Man, but I'm sure it's amazing down there, man. I've only had the experience of going to Jersey, but I got New York, Brooklyn on my list, man. Like, I got to get out there. Just the traditional stuff, man. Like, I don't know as far as how Harlem and all that, stuff that goes on. But man, I gotta visit, because you just hear about the culture, and then you just kind of, I gotta go. And then, the weather, Times Square, all of that. I'm sure all of those have piqued your interest at some point.
Yeah, but so crazy. I was so focused when I moved here to New York that I missed out on like the experience in New York, because I was so focused on like, I got to be Puff. I got to be a record exec. I got to change the world. I got to do this. Yeah. And I just, within the last recent years, have, really had an appreciation for the city.
Right.
If that makes sense. I've been living here like almost 20 years now. So, and I'm just now appreciating the city.
You know what? That's funny, because same thing for me in Cali. Coming out here, like I thought about this. Like, I haven't really gotten out. You get out here and you focus on something to keep your mental together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's like, man, I still haven't been to every beach out in Cali. So I can totally relate to that. You get locked in at a certain spot, and that kind of takes away from your free time, so to speak.
Absolutely. So I love New York. I definitely recommend everybody to come visit. It's definitely a beautiful city.
Yeah, I'll be there in November. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though. I mean, it's kind of weird that you're saying that you went to the city, chasing this dream of doing music, but you end up, writing books, being a life coach. Like how did that even come about?
Bro, I ask myself that question all the time. Because I still have a love for the entertainment industry, like music. Like, my friends that still work at labels and stuff, they still hit me up asking advice and asking my opinion about certain things. And my friends that are directors and actors and actresses, they still ask my opinion. So I still have a love for it. But truthfully, how I got into this, my father, before he passed away, he prophesied to me that I would be doing the work that I'm doing today.
Right.
And at the time, I was working at Def Jam. So I was like, what is he talking about? But I didn't know that would end up being like one of the last conversations I had with him. So it was like, he was very clear. He was like, yo, you're going to write books about men. You're going to change people's lives. You're going to travel around the world. Like, he was very specific. And I was like, okay. At the time, I'm like, very dismissive. I'm like, I'm about to go to this Pharrell party. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even in that space. And then, he passes away suddenly. And, of a heroin overdose, and then my world just kind of spiraled. Like, I went through a very, very deep, dark depression, and I was thinking about what do I want to do with my life? What's going to bring me joy? And both of y'all, I think both of y'all know this person. Nicole Seals, still has a letter that I wrote her of encouragement in junior high. Wow. She sent me a picture of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was doing this the whole time.
Wow.
And I never knew it.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? So it's like, she sent me a picture of that in the midst of this depression, because it was a 4 or 5 year depression. And I was like, okay, I do like encouraging people. I do like seeing people be well. How can I do this for a living? How do I take all this stuff and make it into something? And so, like, just doing that 4 or 5 year depression, I just, somehow it clicked to be a life coach.
That's pretty dope, man. Sometimes that's crazy how you kind of, as you go, you kind of find find your path and find your way. That's pretty dope. That's funny because, man, it's crazy because I eventually ended up doing the same thing. Of course, being a preacher at one point, and then transitioning out of that. And then I look back at some of my writings and I think, gosh, man, I was talking about doing these things like years ago. And it's kind of like that, writing the vision. You don't know where you're going. You have no clue. And then, boom, you hit a season where something catastrophic happens, and then you take a turn, and then you find yourself right in that space where it seemed like you just fit.
Bro,
like this is perfect fit.
But isn't that crazy? She kept that letter.
Yeah. I mean,
what things mean to other people,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the things we just go about doing in our daily lives, or just do something kind for somebody, it means a lot more to them than we actually know.
Right.
Absolutely. But I had no idea whatsoever. And that was like the biggest, like, God, you know, like shining that light on you, like, this is what you're supposed to do moment.
Right.
If I've ever had one in my life, it was that.
That's legit.
That's one of those things that stands out. But I'm one of those type of people too that thinks that and believes that, you know what I'm saying, God planted a seed in us when we're young, and sometimes our gift, it just keeps growing as we grow. And throughout our life, you see little glimpses of what you're supposed to be doing, but sometimes we deny it and we suppress it because we have other plans, and we're like, that's cool, but that's not what I want to be doing. So we keep suppressing it, but eventually it's going to grow to a point to where it outgrows us, and it's going to shine out, and you have no choice but to manifest it and start doing it. And this seems like, one of those cases where, it was something that outgrew
that prophetic victory calendar.
Huh?
I said that prophetic victory calendar where you meet at that place where it's like, I need you here at this appointed time. I got, so like, man, I can totally relate. So that feeling though, man, like to find yourself in that space, how does that feel?
It's crazy. It's funny. I just did an interview on Friday for my new book, and they asked me the same question. And I was like, it's really weird because you know who you are, and you know how much of a mess you are, and you know that you catch me on the wrong day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that, and not to be religious or but I have to be who I am. I know my righteousness is filthy rags. I know Pervis, and I know how much of a mess I am. So it's so weird, and it's still weird, and it's still amazing that God would use me to disseminate this stuff to people. Right. Because the stuff like the emails, the phone calls, the text messages, the DMs that I get from people whom I've never met, whom either they saw a video, they saw an interview, they read a book, whatever, and just like them telling me their stories and how like God used me and I was the person that helped them to shift. It's crazy.
And that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yep, and that's truly one of those deals where you're meant to be here, and you're serving your purpose, and that's got to be huge. A great feeling to get up in the morning knowing that you're serving your purpose, and you know what I'm saying, God's blessing you in that realm because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
But what's crazy? I never understood that until recently. Because I look at my life sometimes and I'm like, man, I should be. I wish I was further along. Or I should have this, and I should acquire this. And I should have this. And I remember one of my friends who is very successful. She's hugely successful. And she said to me that she was jealous of me. And I was like, what you jealous of? Sis, she was like, why you were born.
Oh.
She said, I don't.
Right.
And I was like, that's heavy.
That is.
That's heavy.
For a person not to know why their purpose for being here. I guess that's the admiration too, also that comes in with walking in your purpose, because a lot of people will admire where you are in life, but the sacrifices and everything it took to get to that point. I'd love to say that from the beginning I was always me, Benji. But I'd be lying to myself if I didn't say, it took me a while to get to the place to where I can be me. And that's attractive to some people. You get what I'm saying? So I imagine that you experience that with people that you meet because of the letters and things that send to you.
Yeah, but what you just said was so spot on, because I don't care. Right. Not to say that flippantly, but I don't care pretty much what people think about me. I'm gonna be myself, because I spent so much of my life trying to figure out who I was, defend and protect and also like that. And I'm just like, I wasn't living. So I'm like, I'm just gonna be me, and whatever you think of that, that's not on me. You know what I mean? And there's a freedom. And to your point, you're right. There's so many people who come up to me who say, like, I've never met somebody so comfortable in their skin. Like, I look at you and can just tell you're very comfortable. And I am. But that's because of all the years where I wasn't. And I said, I can't live my life like this. Either I'm gonna be me or it's not gonna work.
Right.
Yeah. And that's one of those situations that me and Benji talk about all the time, where people want what you got, but they don't know what it took for you to get that.
That's true.
I'm saying a lot of times once they find out what it took for you to get that, whatever you have, you know what I'm saying, even if it's just, you know what I'm saying, your journey, or if somebody got a nice car, but you don't know what that person did to get that car. So when they start telling you what they did to get that car, then you like, no.
That's another ball game right there, right? Like,
and you all know this as men and as human beings, it's a lot of stuff that we go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people do not know the things that I have to deal with in order to be me, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not to feel sorry for me or any of that stuff, but it's like, it's definitely a huge price that I pay. I can't live like everybody else. As much as I want to, as much as I want a Tootsie Roll for real and turn and do really, really do me.
Can't do it, huh?
I can't do it.
I mean,
Go ahead, Benji. Go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say, look, bro. I mean, that's why you have your own place. You know what I'm saying? You go, do your own thing.
But I'm talking about just in terms of like how God uses me, right?
Right.
The space in which He uses me for the work that I do. Like, I'm not the average life coach. Like, I don't even say this arrogantly. Like, I know that He created me to be this.
Right.
And there's something that comes along with that. Right? You know what I mean? Like, it's certain things that I just can't, because I've done it. I've definitely have done me. And
bro, you went to the U. Yeah.
I definitely have done me, right? But it just didn't fare well for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a price that you pay in doing, just being purpose, right? I can't speak for nobody else. I can't speak for no pastor. Like, you are a pastor, Benji. Like, I can't speak for anybody else who does spiritual work or soul work, right? But I know for me, it's just very different. Like, just the way that He uses me, the way He speaks and flows through me, I have to kind of not perfect, because I'm never perfect, but I kind of have to be on the straight and narrow for the most part.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, you gotta look at it. Which what you do, you're giving people advice. So if you're out here wilding out and then you go give them some advice, they're gonna look at you like, man, he ain't following his own advice. So, you know what I'm saying, they're less likely to, take that, even though people have to understand, I think when, like you said, when you have men of the cloth or preachers or people who do that type of work, people look at them as greater than thou when they're just human beings. They have lives as well, and they have things that they want to do as well. But that's the burden that they have to bear with the job that, the task that they've been, assigned. So,
right.
Agreed.
Totally understand that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this too. So with the pandemic, like with what you do every day, like how did that force you to change? Did you have to make any like tremendous changes to what you do, or just small changes? How did that? What kind of adjustment did you have to make?
Actually, I had the adjustments what we talked about before we got on here is doing all this online stuff, like
hate it, huh?
Creating a studio, like I mean. The pandemic was very interesting because I feel like my platform got really elevated in the pandemic because so many people were having mental health issues and it was just crazy. So the one thing that changed was I had to be on at any given moment. So if I had to do a news interview, like if I had to be on TV, I had to be ready. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have time to get my mind together. I had to just be sharp and on it. Because there were so many things that were just coming left and right. That was stressful, but it was also a gift because now I kind of know what to do.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they say pressure makes diamonds. Pressure makes diamonds. So you know what I'm saying? You got through in the fire on some of that stuff, but I mean, look at what you are now. So you're ready and you're used to it now. And this is the new norm. So we all have to, as we always say, the key word during the pandemic was pivot. So we all had to, pivot and do something a little bit different, but it's for the better and it's gonna make us better moving forward because now we're prepared.
Absolutely. Totally prepared, man. That's dope. Keeping yourself. What kept you in that space though? What was it? What vice was it? What key component for somebody who may be, looking to get into the same thing? What kept you? Was it just your full commitment to the task, or was it something that kept you in there? It was like, you know what? This keeps me sharp. Let me keep doing this.
Let's see. Let me make sure I'm understanding. Keep me there as being a life coach, or kept me like. Can you emphasize a little bit more?
So you mentioned how during the pandemic, a lot of it kind of grew a little bit because of the mental health issues, and you talked about in that space where you had to be sharp, like it was you didn't have time to get up, you know what I'm saying? Like you had to get up and be sharp. I know that takes commitment because with any professional, with anything that takes commitment. What was it that allowed you to stay sharp? Was it just focusing on the task, or was it something else, or a close friend, or whatever it may be?
It was definitely community. It was also the aspect of I don't want to be like everybody else. Okay. Like these fly by night people, these people who are successful, advice givers, and on social media. I wanted to make sure that whatever I was saying was tried and true.
Right.
So I always. My thing is, if I don't do it, then I don't talk about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, it was just kind of like I had this commitment to excellence, which is so weird because sometimes it like gets in my way. But and doing this work,
I know.
I had this commitment to excellence. Like I cannot be mediocre in this work. Like I just can't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I gotta be on point. Whether one person watches or a million people watch, I gotta be that. That's just in my heart. It's just in my heart.
And you know what? That's being true to yourself. I think that's what makes it a little bit more easier, allows you to be sharper, is that the fact you're being true to yourself. So you don't have to say something that isn't you. So when it comes out originally, and you got to appreciate anybody who moves like that.
Derek Jackson. See, what you're doing keeps you from falling in that realm.
And honestly, it's funny because you look at things like, and God bless that brother. Like I don't know him, but you look at situations, you be like, oh, I know what that is, right? Right. And then you have to make sure that you keep the main thing for you, because you can get sucked into why am I not at this person's level, or why is this voice being amplified? Like my thing has to always be in the work that I do. Lives have to be changed. It is not popularity, even though I may want that, right? Being transparent and honest, even though I may want the amplification. But if I'm being amplified and lives are not being changed, then that's all about purpose. That's not about the work that God has created me to do. You see what I'm saying? Like it has to be about lives being changed. Otherwise, I don't need to be doing it.
That's dope.
Okay. So, you're an author, an inspirational speaker, and a life coach. Yeah. But which one do you enjoy doing the most, though?
I'll tell you the one I enjoy the least.
Okay. Spit it out. Tell it.
Being an author.
Right. A little bit more tedious.
It's very tedious. It's a lot of work. I enjoy coaching and speaking equally because they're both human touch points.
Okay.
Right.
I love connecting with people. So if I'm speaking, like I spoke, I think I might have shared this on Facebook, Benji. I spoke to a group of fathers during the pandemic. Right. And what was so powerful about that was I'm not a father yet, but these fathers had lost their jobs and they didn't know what to do. And I was like, but you get to be a father now. You get to connect with your kids. And it was like to see like the lights go on in their minds was so powerful. Like it literally almost took me out because these men didn't know that they could be a father, and that would be enough because clearly it's not their fault. They can't provide right now. So still have an option. Right. And both of you are fathers, right? So it's like y'all both understand what I'm saying. Like that moment was it took me out.
I mean, being a daddy, man, that's dope, man. Cause you got a little mini me depending on you, and you got to be sharp. And that's an awesome lesson, man. Like to have somebody watching you, kind of like how you wish you could watch your dad or whatever. And that's pretty dope to be in that moment and then have somebody looking up to you, needing your support, needing your help.
It's dope, but it's a lot of pressure too.
Man,
it's pressure, but it's a lot of pressure.
It's a gift. It's definitely a gift.
But it's definitely a gift. And I think part of it is whether you get it right or wrong, it's okay. And I think that's the bigger thing. Because that's the thing. And it's okay. You got to have grace to yourself. Like my mother all the time, she's stressing, worried about her kids. And I said, Mama, we make the decisions we make because we're our own person. It's not because of you. But I'm not a parent. So I don't understand that. But you two understand that. But I know from just a mental health standpoint, it's okay if you made some mistakes. That's okay.
Right.
Yeah. And I agree because I think at some points we put too much pressure on ourselves, and then that causes us to have other missteps because we're trying to compensate for all this different stuff, and we just have to understand. And I myself had to come to that conclusion because I had my first child at 20, so I had to grow up, and I have to explain to him sometimes now that he has to realize that I had to grow up with him.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think they understand that. And, when we were growing up as kids, we didn't think about our parents having to, still learn and mature as we were growing up, and they're learning as well, because especially with you being the oldest child, I told my oldest sister, hey, she's the crash test dummy. You know what I'm saying?
Like, we bounce everything off of you.
Right? I'm the experiment.
Yeah. So I'm the baby. So I got the advantage of having, my parents have, they know how to do things at that point. They know what things need to be done. They, and then my sister's looking out for me. So I came out a little bit better.
What a way to flex. What a way to flex on live.
And I did too. I came out good because I understood that they, I wasn't angry at my parents for anything. Because I can't imagine what it must have been like back in that, the late 70s, early 80s, being a Black person in Texas, right? Trying to raise a family in Lancaster, Texas, right? A lot of Black families moved to Lancaster because that was supposed to be the promised land, right? For us, that's what my mother said, because they used to live in North Dallas. They moved to Lancaster because they saw a report like this is going to be the new, a thriving city, right? I mean, it
man, I love it.
But you know what? Back there, but you know what? When we were kids, though, it was totally different than it is now, and I have to explain that to people. It was way different.
We had tons of fun, man.
But it was way different when we went to school. When I first started going to school in the 5th grade at Lancaster Intermediate, when I walked in that classroom to see 30 kids and to see 6, 7 Black kids and the rest white kids, like that was a culture shock for me coming from DISD, where there was all Black kids and a few Hispanic kids. So, Lancaster at that point was totally different than what it is now. Because if you go to Lancaster now, you hardly will ever see anybody other than Black people on that campus for the most part, predominantly.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So it's a totally
when we got there, man, we was coming from South Dallas.
Yeah, he was one of the kids that came in with tan up stuff, and we were like, what are these little kids?
We had just came from South Dallas, and so like Lancaster was like, we about to floss for real now. Like we done got out of the ghetto and we in the suburbs, so to speak. Man, look here, man. we was trying to do it all back then. So, but man, you know what? Them memories back then, man, I remember a lot of them. A lot of these y'all, man, we just grew up together.
And for context, for context, people, Benji used to live on the street right behind me. So he lived directly behind me. So that was crazy. So me and Benji
used to play football in the street.
Yeah.
We used to play football on the concrete.
Yep.
Yeah.
We was out there.
I remember that.
Joe Crab versus U.S. Homes. Y'all in Lancaster, y'all already know what it is.
You know, it's crazy. I lived in U.S. Homes, and then we moved to behind Winn-Dixie.
Okay.
So I went to Pleasant Run, and then I transferred to Millbrook.
Good old Millbrook.
Yeah.
Lancaster people watching, y'all already know what it is. Y'all know the language we're talking.
We had some fun. We could call out some names on this joint, boy. Like a bunch of names for folks we grew up with, right?
You give a shout out. Benji wanted to give shout outs. We ain't gonna do shout outs today, people.
No, we ain't giving nobody no shout out.
All right, let's get back to that. All right. What's the most difficult thing about being a life coach?
I think people think that you're not allowed to be a human being and go through your own stuff. I think people expect me to be. I'm not allowed to have down, to be down or go through the human experience. I'm supposed to have it together. I also think for me, for Pervis, people want a lot from me, but they don't want to pay the value.
Right.
Because they know me. They're like, oh, that's Pervis. I can do that. Nah. You know what I mean?
How do you balance that off though? Because that's got to be frustrating.
You saw the post I did. You commented on
right?
It. Yeah. I was like, please don't inbox me asking to pick my brain. Don't I have a website. If you would like to schedule a consultation with me, you can do so on my website.
Right.
This is how I feed my family. You know what I mean? That I have to be a little bit different. Like not to come across like I'm mean or anything like that, or like I'm stuck up or whatever. But now I gotta represent for Pervis. I gotta establish these boundaries now. Because I love helping people, right? Like I love it. But
gift and a curse.
It's a gift and a curse. That's the shadow side of it, is that everybody wants a piece of you and take advantage of you.
Exactly.
And I'm left sometimes feeling empty.
Right.
And that's not a good feeling. So I can't do that anymore.
I can dig that 100%, man. I feel you on that. If you people are prone to be takers more than givers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's what makes givers withdraw a lot, because you see like they pulling on me. Who's pouring back into me? And if you're not careful, that's where the burnout comes in at. But when you're being authentically you, like that makes it look a little bit more easier. I think you'll probably agree to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't want my heart to change.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think that's the biggest. And when you lose me, your heart changes. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't want to lose. I still want to be who I am. I just have to be just more judicious about it.
Now that's dope. That's dope.
All right, so let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk about your books.
Yes, sir.
You have more than one book. You have a few books.
Yes.
So I guess we could talk about your first. Which of these books came first? Because I have a list of books, and I know
I'll list them in order. So Pervis Principles Volume 1 came first, then Volume 2, then I don't know if you have on there Single Man, Married Man. That's a relationship book I co-authored. That's number 3.
Okay.
Survival Mode is 4, and Heal Forward is 5.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I had 4 out. I had 4 out of the 5. I had
all right.
All right. I was working behind the scenes trying to pull them up.
I appreciate that.
But go get those books. Go get
those books. Definitely. We'll have the information on the site, so you can go get those books. But can you talk to us a little bit about each book and kind of what inspired each book, and maybe a quick little blurb of what each one is about, so that people can go out and get them.
So Pervis Principles Volume 1 was during that depression that I talked about, the 4 or 5 year depression, and I wanted something. I believe when you're depressed, or you're going through a dark season, that something should come out of it. right? I just believe that. New revelation, an invention, like something needs to come out.
Okay.
And what came out of that depression was Pervis Principles Volume 1. And it's like a mini book of inspiration, principles of life that I had learned mainly through my mistakes, things that I've done wrong, right? So that was the revelation of that. Volume 2 is a continuation, which is like maybe 3 years apart. I kind of come out of that depression. I actually was almost engaged to this girl at one point. So like things were very different at that point. And I was kind of on the journey as, becoming Pervis Taylor, the brand, right? Single Man, Married Man, that was interesting because that was the first time I got like national attention. Like we were on the Today Show and I had done like a lot of TV. So that book to me is so special, even though, we had some interesting things happening behind the scenes. Seven Brothers wrote a book, some things definitely not bad. These, they're wonderful brothers. I love them all. But that book kind of thrusted me into what I feel kind of destiny in terms of like just, putting me in the public eye. Okay. Survival Mode was a book that was prophesied to me. And this man said, you're going to write a book for men is going to really change lives. And he said 2 years from now. And then, I didn't remember the prophecy. And I just started writing this book, Survival Mode. And I wanted, I started thinking about my life and things that I've experienced. Like I've experienced, molestation. I've experienced, father down a heroin overdose. I've experienced being made fun of and bullied and all that stuff. And I just thought about my life and I thought about the lives of men whom, I had the opportunity of coaching and working with them. And I said, well, what was the things that we did to kind of get us on the other side? And so that's what Survival Mode was. It was like, learning how to thrive through your mental health, right? And then Heal Forward, the most recent book is about wholeness and having the future in the life that you want. So it's a continuation of Survival Mode. So it's really the living out the Survival Mode concept.
Okay.
If that makes sense. And and so Survival Mode has 4 A's, which is acknowledgement, acceptance, articulation, and alchemy. Heal Forward has 4 V's, which is vision, verification, voice, and vulnerability.
Okay.
And so those are the things that you need in order to heal forward. Men tend to heal with the past in mind. Women tend to heal with the future in mind. I'm trying to teach men to heal with the future in mind.
Okay. That makes sense.
So which one of these is going to be a movie? Because I'm feeling the movie. The book, you know what I'm saying? Like
I had to talk to my mother about that. I had to, because see, I'm an open book. I don't care.
Right.
But but I think about my family. They're not as, I mean, my sister is, but me and her the only ones is kind of like the black sheep of the family. Like, I don't care if you know my business. I don't care. Yeah. But I think about my mama. Like, I know certain things that she can't take and can't handle. But I'd be open to doing a book. I don't care. I mean, doing a movie.
Yeah. I mean, because like I said, with the concept of these books, definitely, I've already ordered Survival Mode.
I gotta get my heal. I ordered Survival Mode and did a giveaway for it, and then gotta do Heal Forward, my man, because we gotta promote you for sure. With that, which brings us to the question I asked backstage. So we're going to get to it right now. All right.
Yeah.
Getting to this moment.
Yes.
Like getting to this place to where you can look back and say, you know what? I did that. But I'm here now.
Mm-hmm.
What makes that moment? What makes that feeling go? Well, like what is it in that? What makes that special for you?
It's interesting because I'm in a very interesting place right now with God. But I did have this moment where I look back at my life, like just maybe even 4 years ago. And I was like, yo, you was in such a crazy space, even though, career-wise and, things were kind of elevating, whatever. I'm just so amazed and how I continue to push through things.
Okay.
How resilient I am.
Determination. Okay.
Determined, and but I'm also amazed at, and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but just how on point I am about things.
Okay.
Like I was in grad school. I went to grad school, Columbia, right? Ivy League, right? I'm in this psychology program, and my professors are saying things, and I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, I've been saying that. Like they're telling me about these concepts, right? And I ain't know nothing about it. I just knew it instinctively. You know what I mean? Like, it's so humbling.
Okay.
It's very humbling. Because like, is to be used to help people is very humbling, and to write something or be a part of something that's changing lives. I just read Heal Forward, editing and looking for mistakes, things like that, and I sat here and I was just like, wow, I wrote that. Like, not even just shocked.
Right.
It's weird. I can't even explain it. I think that's why I don't think about it. Because I can't even conceptualize how this boy from Lancaster, Texas, is where he is.
I mean, that's a humbling. That'll get you. God gives grace to the humble, for sure.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, I just think about where we come from, and just the things that I've accomplished and the things that God has graced me to do in the circles I've walked in, and the exposure and the things that I've had, like, and I'm still this country boy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
that's good though. That's good that you stay.
Hey man, them country roots are dope, man. Like, I'm telling you that growing up back home and growing up in the South, man, and kind of learning from the bottom, man, those lessons are still valuable today. Still use them.
Absolutely. And I also think that makes a difference. Like, I'm very gracious. Like, people that work with me in business, they're like, oh, he's, they're like, he's very gracious. He's very gentleman-like. He's very, like, that's all Southern upbringing. Right. I'm very, yes, ma'am. I'm very, thank you. And it's not a put on. That's just how we're raised.
Right. That's how I grew up.
That's how we grew up. And I'm so grateful for that stuff. And I'm grateful that I'm able to take the Southern roots and apply it to who I am, because that is who I am. And I never want to begrudge that. I'm never ashamed to say I'm from Lancaster, Texas. I'm never ashamed of what I've experienced. I'm never ashamed of my parents, none of that stuff, because all of that stuff makes me who I am.
That's dope.
Dope. Are you working on any other big projects that we can discuss? Coming up, anything coming up?
So I'm doing an audio book of Heal Forward, which is scary as hell.
Okay. Didn't you just say you didn't like audio and video and all that?
Okay. I went to the studio. I went to look at my boy has a studio, and I was like, so what I said, do I need to push any buttons? They was like, nah, we got everything. I was like, cool. I said, all I have to do is just read off the iPad. They was like, that's it. You don't have to do nothing else. I was like, okay. I think I could do this. I was like, I think I can do it.
Okay.
I mean, it's a great experience to put the seed in the ground. Put that seed in the ground, man, and push it, man, and see what it looks like.
Bro, let me tell you, that scares the hell out of me. That's the thing, is like, I want to continue for the rest of my life. I know what I'm saying, because I know God is he's gonna make it happen. But I always want to do things that scare me a little bit, because that's where breakthroughs happen. That's where the new levels happen. They don't happen in your comfort zone. They happen when you're uncomfortable. Outside of there. So
that is all right. Go ahead.
I would just, if you had something else, go ahead.
I was gonna say, give us something from the book, Heal Forward. Give our people out there something from the book. Of course, we want them to go purchase. We want them to go check out PervisTaylor.com. We want them to order. Give them something from the book that they can glean from and be like, let me go check this out.
So it's funny. I think I did a post about this, and I think you commented on it, Benji. Yeah. This is a couple years ago, where I talked about when I was groped by a female celebrity. How she grabbed my, you remember that? How she grabbed my butt, right? And on one hand, you're looking at it like, oh my God, Pervis, that's a compliment. Da, da, da. But if I'd have done that to her,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was very, even though you think one hand it's like empowering and it's flattering and all those things like that, but on the other hand, it's kind of like, yo, like she just violated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I wasn't even attracted to her. You know what I mean? Like,
like that's the bad part.
It's a lot of layers to it, right? Like I'm just keeping it honest. So I talk about that in the book, like how voice, especially with men, right? I think how silence sometimes can be misconstrued as consent. And when you think about it with women, and you think about anybody who's dealt with sexual abuse, any of those things, just life or just being taken advantage of, how we have to be in tune with our voice. And for me in that moment, I didn't my silence read as consent in her, allowing her to think that she could do that to me. And when you discover your voice, you become empowered. When you don't know your voice, you become overpowered. Overpowered by the voices of others, overpowered by the lies in your head. And so for me, that silence and me not saying anything, I was overpowered by the voices of like, yo, you're not a man. Yo, what's wrong with you? Yo, this girl's filling you up. You should have hollered. All these things that are overpowering me. And at the end of the day, I just didn't want it to happen.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes plenty of sense. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. Is there anything that you want to leave the people with? Anything inspirational, motivational? I know you're full of that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what you do. But if it's something that you want to leave the people with, because I think, you know what I'm saying, the excerpt from your book is powerful in itself to me.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like, and I know all of you have experienced this. I know you both have experienced this, and we've all experienced this in our lives. We've manifested something. We've called something forth, right?
Right.
I want us to be able to speak life, because life happens to us, but life also happens from us. And life that happens from us oftentimes comes from our mouth. And so I just want everybody to be conscious of the life that they're speaking. Right. What you want. Speak what's going to happen. Speak positive things. And I know people think that, oh, that's simple, that's easy. It's not.
It's not. A lot of people are scared to actually find their voice.
Yes.
It's intimidating because you think you're going to lose a lot. You think you're going to lose a lot of friends, a lot of people, and you think you're going to be badgered, which in a lot of cases, that is really true. But I think finding yourself is dope. C.S. Lewis says that God allowing you to be yourself is the greatest gift he could ever give to us.
Absolutely.
And it's the greatest gift he can give to us, for us to be ourselves. And that, because then he gets the authentic us and not the church version or the good boy version or whatever that is. We don't get that. He doesn't get that full from us. So I think that's pretty legit that you're in that space.
Yeah, and just briefly, it's one thing I talk about the vision aspect. I talk about Batman, the movie, The Dark Knight Rises, and how he had to rise up out of that pit. And part of how he had to rise up out of that pit was he had to imagine himself out of the pit. Because I don't know if you guys saw the movie Dark Knight Rises, the way he got out of the pit wasn't conventional. He had to envision his way out of it, and then he took the risk and he lived it out and he got out the pit. And so I want us to start. I want as men, I want us to be able to, be in tune with our voices, right? Authentically, our authentic voice, and speak life, but also have a vision for our lives, to be able to see ourselves out of our current situation. Engage in imagination, not rumination.
That's awesome. That's legit.
All right, so let the people know how to find you on social media, your website, and things of that nature.
You can find me at pervistaylor.com, and on social media it's at Pervis Taylor on all social media platforms.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. Benji Banks, the man, the brand. Let the people know how they can find you as well.
I officially created my own TikTok. So we're working on that. You can find me at Benji Banks on TikTok. We're working on some things on there.
You cooking?
Benji Banks himself. And then on my IG, BRB4701, basically a business page. If you want to come and hear me clown and do all of those things on social media, please do, because you'll get everything. You'll get church, you'll get t-shirts, you'll get wine, you'll just get this mixed bag of everything, and you get to pick and choose. So, and then who knows, you might want some chicken and waffles, and you might call me out somewhere. So who knows, just a mixed bag of everything.
Bro, I have to come to Cali and you have to do like a wine party, cook for us. You gotta do a intimate gathering because you're
I promise that's in the works. I think the first place probably gonna be in Tejas.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. We're gonna make it happen. That's been in the plans. We're gonna have this pool party first. So
yeah. Benji Banks, the book, coming to you soon. The title, From Righteous to Ratchet. All right. Well, you can reach me at Big Ken's Comedy on IG, Big Ken's Comedy on Twitter, Big Ken's Comedy on Facebook. You can also find us on the Fiyah Session Podcast on Facebook, on Twitter, on IG, and on YouTube. Y'all, it's been a pleasure speaking with y'all today. We had another great interview.
Yes,
again, we want to thank Pervis Taylor for joining us, dropping a lot of gems on us, giving us a lot of great motivation and inspiration to get throughout this week and, moving forward. Y'all go get them books. I'm not playing with you.
Yes, sir.
Y'all know I'm the Shug of IG and Twitter and Facebook. So I'm going to come check on you and make sure you got them books. And I want to see you send me some pictures and some videos of them books. You know what I'm saying? So we can be sure y'all got them.
Get
the book. Get the book. All right. Well, we appreciate it, y'all. Thank you again to Pervis. Thank you to my guy Benji.
Yes,
and thank you, most importantly, to the audience for tuning in. We appreciate y'all tuning each week. We have some very dope guests coming through. We have some very dope Fiyah sessions, round table sessions. So we kind of just talk about different topics. So y'all tune in each week. And if y'all looking for information or clips, go to the Fiyah Session website and check us out there. And you get everything all rolled in one. Y'all already know what it is, the Fiyah Session. Peace.
Deuces.